Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And just before I get going, I would note that I will be splitting my time with I believe, the member from Calgary, Mindapore. Mr. Speaker, I enter into debate on a emergency debate related to the crisis that is taking place here in Alberta, and just to acknowledge how there's a number of friends of mine currently that are in hospital. It appears like they're going to be pulling through, but it certainly has been a challenging time. I know for many Albertans, many Canadians, and certainly it drives home the seriousness of what we are discussing here in this place. And to acknowledge the 24,000 or so Canadians who have passed away because of COVID and COVID-related complications, and the many others. And in fact, I was reading an article earlier today about what they're calling the COVID long haulers, the challenges associated with this. And then on the other side of that issue, to talk about the millions of Canadians that have faced significant impacts, businesses. I spoke to, as I was getting groceries earlier today, I had a business owner come up to me and say, "Is there anything you can do to help me get support? I fall through all the cracks in terms of their business qualifying for support. They didn't quite meet the income threshold on the months that were prescribed, but had zero income in certain other months." And Madam Speaker, it speaks to the significant challenges that all Canadians have faced during the last year and a half. And I as I was thinking about and learned that this debate would be taking place, and I want to touch on a couple of main subjects. One being the challenges that many Canadians are facing, this third wave that has gripped Alberta, gripped our country, and to ensure that there's some context provided with some of the challenges that certainly my constituents are facing in Battle River Crowfoot, and then to talk to about some of the other challenges and the reason why we're here. And I found it very, very interesting, actually, that one of the Liberal members previous, and I would note that when the Prime Minister was asked a number of weeks ago about whether or not there was anything he regretted. Now, there's been a number of analogies used in this debate this evening, so I'll use another one. And when a sports team, your favorite hockey team, your favorite football team, makes some mistakes, the people that take responsibility as the captain of the team, the coaches, they take responsibility for their mistakes and they commit to do better. Well, I've heard, I think for the first time, a number of Liberal members admit their failures because the captain of their team, the leader of this country, refuses to admit mistakes. Now, unfortunately, it is not surprising, certainly as I've been a longtime political observer and a member of Parliament over the year and a half, seeing the Prime Minister's personality. It's unfortunately not surprising that he refuses to take responsibility for some of these clear failures. And then you see the members opposite try to pivot in the blame, and they say, "Oh well, Conservatives spread the misinformation." And Madam Speaker, I have dozens of pages of clear examples.
The honourable member's mic has gone off, so I'm just wondering, maybe when he picked up his papers and dropped them down, he might have shut his mic off.
Oh, my apologies, Madam Speaker. I must have hit the space bar. The realities of Zoom debate. The numerous examples of inconsistent messaging, changing direction, the fact that the fact that even the member from Kingston the Islands said very clearly that had we got more vaccines, we wouldn't be having this debate, and a number of the Liberal members opposite have talked about things like, well, we only want to talk about vaccines. Well, it seems like the Liberals only wanted to stop talking about vaccines when their failures on the procurement of those vaccines became widespread, and then all of a sudden Canadians were seeing the consequences of that, and we see that now. This truly is the Prime Minister's third wave. I think back to the beginning of the pandemic. I, among many other Conservatives, started asking questions about the borders, securing our borders, and valid questions, I think, about what was happening as this virus that we didn't know very much about. But we started asking about what measures were being taken, and the public safety minister, I remember, stood up and said, "Well, we've put enhanced border measures." Yet I would talk to constituents who just returned home saying, "We didn't see any border measures." I talked to some constituents that saw those border measures, and literally, Madam Speaker, and I wish this was a joke, the enhanced border measure was a check mark on the immigration form. Madam Speaker, the old saying goes, a ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. And I think that that's the reality that we're facing in the tens of thousands of lives lost and other significant challenges that we face. And I say often that this government is all style and very little substance, and unfortunately that has been the case throughout this pandemic, and I would suggest the last 5.5 or so years as well, as has been highlighted through the many other failures and tragedies of what this Liberal government has done, and even I would note, Madam Speaker, I was speaking to somebody that follows closely the National Research Council, and even some of the regulatory changes that the Liberals brought in right after they were elected actually put Canada further back in terms of being a set up to succeed in the case of needing to see rapid investment in emerging health technologies, like something like vaccines. And this is this is a number of years before the word COVID-19 was even known to the world. And that really comes back to the issue of good governance. See, the Liberals will say, well, in hindsight, it's easy to be an armchair quarterback and speak from hindsight. That's what the Liberals like to talk about, to try to pivot away from their failures. But Madam Speaker, we see time and time again with this government that truly it has been a failure of good governance. We see things like ministerial responsibility that has been, in some cases, it would appear like it's been abandoned, that they simply use it as a way to cover up their scandals, but then don't provide the oversight. And Madam Speaker, I've filed hundreds of ATIPs since getting elected, and it is astounding some of the things that you see and then don't see. Madam Speaker, I see that I have a couple of minutes left here, and to talk about some of the things that my constituents have brought up over the last number of months, the border issue that the government brought in, they even and Conservatives were critical of the border hotels, especially when the minister himself said that there was no evidence that would work, when there was that there could have been other measures that were more effective. We've seen mental health. The government supported the Conservative motion for a 988 number, yet have done virtually nothing since. They've made some announcements in terms of dollars in their year late budget that was released a couple of weeks ago. But again, they're promising dollars but no action. A great example, Madam Speaker, is the Service Canada location that's located down the street from my constituency office, where I'm doing the speech currently, was thank you, Madam Speaker. A sign was put on the door saying we're closed, and a website to go to. Well, Madam Speaker, the hundreds and hundreds of people that came and sought help from my office because there wasn't the ability for constituents to be served by the government, and again, good governance, lack of responsibility. We see businesses, I've mentioned, fall through the cracks. We see mixed messaging on vaccines. This has been a big challenge. I've made phone calls this week, Madam Speaker, where people are saying, what do I believe? Who do I believe? And Madam Speaker, there's certainly much more that I could talk to on this, but it's been good to be able to participate in this debate and hopefully highlight some of the issues that my constituents certainly have brought forward to me over the last number of weeks and months and last year. So thank you.